What happened?
So I moved to Texas in 2005 and I moved out here without a vehicle, just had my record collection, my bed, my dresser. I didn't have a job waiting. I had very little money and I had to just figure things out one step at a time. And so I found a guy on Craigslist who was willing to come and pick me up, take me to the painting projects and started me out pretty decent. He could tell I had some skill set based on everything we talked about. So we're working this project just outside of Fort Worth, and it's wintertime, and it's like 37, 38 degrees. We're using a product that on the back of it, it says has to be over 35 degrees. Okay, so we can paint with this stuff, so that's fine. At the time, I had not a whole lot of clothes, and so I just had a couple pairs of shoes. Well, I was always wanted to, make a good impression and wanted to, keep working with this guy. So anyway, we're painting the exterior of this house, and the customer is so chatty. She keeps coming out and just saying, "Hi, do you guys need anything? I know it's cold out. I appreciate you doing this so much." And I'm so focused on her. Well, she's chatting me up, and we've got a 5 gallon of this red paint. And I don't have a cup bucket. I've just got my Purdy brush, a wire brush. The guy that I was working for didn't supply me with a cup bucket at the time. I had very little tools with me. So I'm taking this 5 gallon bucket around and dipping out of the five to get the fascia and the soffit and everything just brushed and rolled. Well, the customer is chatting me up so much that I didn't notice. I'd set the fiver down close to my ladder, which is fine. And I'm on the ladder and I'm just chatting with her. Okay, yes, ma'am, no problem. Well, as I'm walking down the ladder, I step right into the bucket, the 5 gallon bucket of red paint. I'm talking up my shin, my pants. I'm soaked with
I
red
love that.
paint. And this is the winter time. This is one of my only few pairs of shoes. I had no boots, no nothing. This was like one of my only pair of painter's whites. So now I've got this red leg. It's like 38 degrees outside. She's got the hose bibs covered up because it's freezing almost every night. So now I've got to figure out how I'm going to get water to get my leg cleaned off. He goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." She goes inside, starts getting me warm water. Like 30, 45 minutes of us cleaning this red paint off of my leg. And the boss shows up, and I'm just like, I convinced this guy that I was a professional painter, and here I am with this red leg. Absolutely crazy.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. I love that.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I could just see you out there too. She's got like the hot water bucket out there, and she's trying to plunge your leg in the hot bucket, and,
Yep.
and
And my leg is soaked, and the rest of the day
so
it's like 38 degrees.
I
I've
know,
got a
and then it
sopping
comes
wet
out, it's a big
sock.
ice cube.
Oh, good grief. So, needless to say, that was the one and only time in my life I have stepped down into a 5 gallon bucket of paint. Lesson learned.
Oh,
That's
that's
awesome.
great. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Well, hello and welcome to the DYB podcast. Now, we all know how hard it is to build a business by yourself, let alone not stepping into a five of red paint. But you don't have to go it alone. In this episode, you get to experience what it's like to be a member of a DYB Mastermind Group. A mastermind group is a peer group that meets every other week over a Zoom call with myself. You share your current challenges to help you so that you can double your business faster. You also have a private chat where you post questions and share wins on a daily basis, helping you to double your business faster. Without further ado, let's get this right on the show. Hello and welcome to MG11. Our mission is to build profitable businesses so that we can have financial freedom, time for our families, and make an impact in our communities. Let's kick it off with some big wins. Daryl, would you lead, please?
Yeah. I mentioned earlier this week about my Google presence, but I met with Mike Williams from ClickWiz yesterday. We did a strategy call, and I was going to go into maybe doing some Google ads with him. And he looked at my profile and he said, "Man, you're the number one on there. You don't need to spend that money with me." It was really cool. And so our Google presence is growing. You Can Book Me is growing. I landed a $18,600 job 2 days ago from a You Can Book Me. I bid it on the spot. It was a huge job, and he didn't give it to me on the spot. And I asked him. I said, "Can I follow up with you tomorrow?" He's like, "This is the first time someone has never said, 'Yeah, you can follow up with me at a certain time.'" He said, "No, we'll make a decision today or tomorrow, and I'll get back with you." And so we chatted. And on my way home, I get a text from him and he says, as I type this, my wife is writing a deposit check, and he sent it to me certified mail next day. I got the deposit check, got the job an hour later. So it's pretty sweet.
Boom.
Yeah.
Way to go. Way to go. That is awesome.
Nice.
And then, sorry, Jeff or Brandon. Quick note too about Mike with ClickWiz. He is the only agency, and I've met and worked with a lot, who's honest, who will tell you, you know what, you don't need it.
Yep.
I love your business, but you don't need it. It's not good for you. And so the truth is, not everybody needs Google ads. Not everybody needs SEO. Sometimes what you're doing or what you have, depending on your market, is good enough. And he is the only one who's ever been honest. And that's why we continue to refer him. Again, it's ClickWiz Mike with clickwiz.com. In fact, he just launched his podcast, which is really cool. I forget off the top of my head. I was just on it with them. I'm going to screw this up, Mike. I'm so sorry, but it was 3 P's, which is cool, right? Something about profitable painting podcast, something along those lines. I'm sorry, Mike. Wasn't planning on this time, right? But yeah, so he's launching his podcast too. But thank you for sharing that. Mike is honest as the day is long, and we love him for that. Very grateful. All right, thank you, Daryl. Brandon.
So for me, a big win would be that we had a rough month in July. Our sales went down, got back to doing the ABAs, and our sales shot back up. So we had a really solid month, did about 15,000 in additional sales revenue this month compared to last month. So definitely got to stay consistent with those ABAs.
Awesome. Right on. Thank you, Brandon. For those listening or watching, ABAs are step 6 in the DYB system, and they are ads that look like anything but advertising. We've got a whole list of those strategies in the cafe, and that's what Brandon's referring to. Thank you for sharing, Brandon. Isaac, big wins.
Hey. So I've been waiting until I have a CRM in place to really lean into hiring and putting ads out, because I wanted to have a solid system in place that they could come into when they start. And so I've been trying all the different CRMs. And so my big win is that I finally landed on Drip Jobs, and for a few different reasons. But what I'm really loving so far is the scheduling and the communication aspect. And it's just making it so much easier to not only schedule estimates, and then if I need to reschedule, it just sends them the information right then. So that's just been transformational, and I think it's given me more confidence in my estimating and also in my presentation. So it's good win for me personally, but then also it's like one more check mark in the box of, okay, now I feel like I'm ready to confidently hire. And side note, my van is on its last leg, and I'm going to get a new van today. And I've been saving up diligently and just closed out a $14,000 job 2 days ago that I'm like, okay, now I feel like I not only can buy the van and still have a good amount of money, but so things are going well. I'm really pleased.
Fantastic. Way to go, Isaac. Way to take action.
I love that.
Yes, sir. Implement. And there's nothing like being able to present with confidence, because when you have the confidence, that means you trust yourself and your systems, and they sense that. When they sense that, then they trust you.
Yeah.
Too. So well done. Way to go. Thank you for sharing. And Jeff.
Oh my gosh. A lot of wins. Bested my personal sales goal for last month, for just a month at all. We did 152,000 in sales for August, which was really, really exciting. And we have a team growing with phenomenal guys for the first time in my career, following the hiring for character process, which I've always been really good about, but pairing that with, apologies, the sprinklers are coming on if you can hear that. Pairing that with Indeed listing, going through their application, sending them through the Google form, making them go through those hoops to really represent that they want to be a part of this first and foremost, just kind of weeds out anybody that's not serious about this. And then when we hire for character and we do the face-to-face, that just clenches it. It closes it for me. So we have now officially This week we had our third new hire, his first week. He fit in seamlessly with the team. My lead took him under his wing. They just did an absolutely phenomenal job this week. I'm so proud of my guys, and they're supporting me all the way. I feel properly supported in our business for the first time ever by my team.
Wow. Well done, Jeff. 150K in sales. That's remarkable. Fantastic
Yeah, that's
job.
awesome.
And
Congrats, man.
yeah, great
Thanks,
leadership
guys.
too. Cultivating the culture. That's huge. All right, back up to Daryl. Daryl, what's one thing we
Yeah.
could brainstorm for you such that might make everything else easier and or unnecessary?
Yeah, I have a few different things, but in case we have time at the end, but I'll go with my first one, which was going back to the Google reviews and the Google presence. I got a customer that I got a job, and asked him, "So how did you hear about us?" And he said, "Next door." I'm like, "I don't know anything about it," and so he got me off of Next Door. And so, and then I start getting these things from Yelp, that 4 people have looked at your profile and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Is this spam or is this really happening?" I don't have a profile that I know of, or at least that I put out on Nextdoor or Yelp, and I don't want to pay for any advertising on those companies. But is there a way to get an online presence with those companies like I do with Google, as to just get my name out there even more? Does anybody have any experience with either one of those?
All right, so let's open this up just for context, guys. Like this is new for Daryl, right? Not to be obvious, but we need to start from like first principles. And so yeah, Brandon, Jeff, I'm sure you guys have experience with Nextdoor, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't even know what it is.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. He's starting from like scratch here. So go
Well,
ahead,
so
guys.
one thing that I would say, I did this with using another company. You can have a company go in and update all of your public free listings across the internet. So you can find a company. I think
Mike,
Steve
yeah.
has recommended Mike.
Mhm.
Like he could go and he can make sure that all of your online listings are updated with your company name, contact information. So even if you're not paying for advertising or something there, at least you have that online presence on those different platforms that are available. And then as far as Nextdoor goes, they offer advertising. I don't use it, like paid advertising, but you can go in, create a business profile, kind of like a Facebook page for Facebook, and create a business page, post pictures there, ask customers to give you recommendations on Nextdoor after you finish the job. And, it kind of works like getting referrals, but then, the community will see those posted on the community feed, which everybody that's, part of that local community that uses the Nextdoor app can see those posts. So yeah, we've been getting even more business from Nextdoor app. I definitely recommend, doing it, even if you're just slowly updating it. You can definitely get, some good leads from there.
That's good to know, because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
with them, Daryl, it's think of it like local Facebook. One in every 3 households, I believe, is their data, are on Nextdoor. And so, Fluffy got out. Has anybody seen her? The cops are down the street. Does anybody know what's going on? So it's really hyper local. But what we found that benefited us best is go ahead and set up your business page. You want to establish that. It's totally free. Do not do the ads. They get 0 traction. What gets the most traction, I found, is painter for a day stuff we were doing, like 500 bucks flat for a guy, and he could just do whatever, right? And then I started realizing, why don't we donate a painter for a day? Because it only cost me a couple $100 out of the business pocket plus the overhead. So when things are just a little slow, I put up a post and I say, hey, if anybody knows a neighbor or somebody that needs something done and they would like to nominate them, and then we put up a basic landing page and we get all these people that apply. And then I simply donate one of my guys for the day. They are so floored by this entire experience that at the end, they put a post up on Nextdoor. Social proof goes so much further than the advertisements on there. So when a neighbor says, oh my gosh, Jeff and one of his guys from Haviland Home Services came and fixed my door that hasn't been closing right for 6 months, that goes so far. And then our phone starts ringing again. It's a really incredible thing. You can lose a lot of time on there. Keeping it simple is really important. And if you would like some more tips and help on that, I'm sure Brandon or myself would be more than happy to carve out some time to help you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was very valuable info. Thank you guys. Really.
Right on. Isaac, did you want to jump in or?
I just started on it and I haven't really done too much on it, but I could see where it'll be beneficial, especially if I do something like what Jeff just mentioned.
Yeah, that's gave me some good ideas.
Quick aside, check out Ben Campbell's viral Goodwill campaign. I shared it into the community for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, I saw
goodness. Last I saw 130 shares. I don't know what it is today. I think he announced the winner last night.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So the course is in the cafe for you. And then he just followed it and that thing blew up. So
Wow.
good on. And then also Daryl, Angie might be able to engage on. Sometimes it's easier for ladies to be social and to engage. For us, it's like work sometimes, guys like, yeah. But
Yeah.
this might be something you delegate to her to engage on next door as well.
Very good idea.
And then you don't
Thank
take
you.
good notes. You can just watch this, ask her to listen to this podcast for how to do it.
There you go.
Brandon and Jeff and them just shared with you. So
There you go. Thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Brandon, you're up.
All right, so I've got something kind of interesting to talk about. I'm looking at trying to roll out a subscription-based service by the end of this year. And so I just wanted to run some ideas by you guys. My initial thoughts are that keeping whatever the services are as a day of work or less that we would offer for that service. It would be 2 services per year that they could book. And what I'm thinking is like take my hourly sell rate for one person, because ideally these jobs would only take one of my employees. So one guy, take my hourly sell rate and just do like 8 hours. So for example, you could sign up for a year subscription up front. The cost might be like $560. That would, if you paid that up front, and you would get 2 services per year that you could call in and schedule. Or you can pay monthly, but it would be 20% more. So it might be like 600 and something bucks. And it would come down to like $50 a month that you would pay, and you could at any time, schedule 2 services. And what I'm trying to figure out is like inside of those services having like preset things that we could do. So like I have like on the interior, we would do 8 doors both sides. That would be an option. Trim main living areas only, additional cost to add on rooms. For interior, we could do just walls only in one room, and it would be additional if you wanted to add on like trim, crown, doors in that room, things like baseboards. Repairs to like drywall would be additional. Pool decks, just a standard repaint. Pressure washing of like one item on the exterior of your house. So like we could do your fence, we could do your pool deck, we could do your driveway. And then if you wanted to add on multiple, it would just be like charged at an hourly rate. But anyway, that's kind of like a rough idea. Just want to see if you guys had any feedback on like things I should look out for, things to consider that might like get me on the like financial side, or services that I should just stay away from offering as like a subscription service, or if you guys think that it's even viable. Just want some feedback on that.
So I had thought through this once. I had this wild idea back before I moved out of Florida to start another painting company. Some of you guys might remember I bought the URL Happy Painters, and I was writing up a whole business plan to launch it and do it again. And I wanted to create a subscription as well. And what I was going to do was roll out a subscription for pressure washing. So for $19 a month, we'll come out and pressure wash your house every year. They need it done. A lot of them are HOAs and have to have it done according to bylaws. And that works out to like $228 a year. While it's not a profit center, but what it would be key for is step 9, which is staying top of mind, which
Right.
is the most valuable marketing strategy. Right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, maybe I won't make like a ton of money from these things, but they would be easy to do like one day. But it would just keep us like where now they're locked in as like a customer over and over and over again, right? So in 10 years, when that entire exterior repaint comes up, we're your painters, if that makes sense. So
moreover, all the referrals that come from that customer because you stay top of mind.
Right.
Plus yard sign up, right? Yard sign up while it's being done, a little bit of advertising while that's happening. Maybe
Courtesy
even do
canvassing.
yep, I was just going to say, knock on the neighbor's doors, introduce yourself. Hey, our guys are power washing. Just, if this happens, if that happens, here's our card. Give us a shout. We'd be happy to help.
Right.
Actually, never really thought of that, Brandon. Geographically, I don't know if I could get that to work in my place, my area, but I'm also not real organized. But I think for step 9, man, I think that's golden. There is a guy, I can't remember his name. He's Mexican. He's in California, Illusions Painting. I think he does something similar. Where he doesn't do a subscription really, but he does a yearly thing where he restains window sills on houses, or the windows that are wood and stain have to be done every year. And he has something that's kind of a hybrid version of that. And he says that it gets him all kinds of work. So I think you're in the right direction.
I've actually been calling some like past clients as well. And even mentioning it to like current clients while we're there, just kind of surveying and saying like, hey, we're thinking about rolling out this, potential subscription-based service. These are some of the ideas we have. Would you be interested? And so far, I've had nothing but positive feedback. And it's funny enough, one of the things that most of them mention is like, if it was just for the pressure washing alone, I'd do it. So it's funny that you mentioned that. And then what I was also thinking about doing is maybe around like October, November timeframe, sending out like a mass email to like all of my contacts, which is like 1,200, and saying like, hey, we're looking at rolling out this service, but we're only going to offer it to 12 people as like a trial thing. And say like, for the first 12 people, you're going to get it at like X amount of dollars. And have just like, have a short time frame that I could test it out with a, smaller client base rather than just opening it up and then being overwhelmed. So I was thinking maybe like 12 people to start, and that would kind of represent each month of the year, and then that would give me the ability of like spreading out some services and not being overwhelmed. And then
FOMO is a good thing to lean into there, right? Because if we only have 12 spots available, if you want to get those booked right away, right? Or we're offering this for a limited time, like our Facebook advertising team that we work with, they do that sort of thing, and that gets the phone ringing immediately because people are like, well, they're only going to be able to fit 12 in. That's a really good deal. I want to be a part of that. And then you could just load that up almost immediately.
Right.
That is way cool. So what brought that up into your mind, Brandon?
Well, so I've always like I come from like the business side of, being in the painting industry. I'm not necessarily like as skilled as, someone who's been trained in the craft of it for like years and years. So just my business mind is like, well, I want to have an exit strategy for my business. And not saying that I will, but if I decided to sell it in, let's say 15 years, because my son grows up and he doesn't want anything to do with it, then I would have an option to sell it. And I know painting companies, they kind of like struggle to sell for higher values because there's just one-off jobs, so there's that revenue to some extent could be, guaranteed if you had, let's say 20 years of track record and data and a good CRM, and, you could track all those numbers, you'd be able to say, hey, it's worth this much. But from my understanding, if you have a subscription based business where like you have that continual revenue, then if you go to sell your business, then it could potentially be worth more, because then you can say like, hey, look, we bring in X amount of guaranteed revenue per month, versus like relying on, well, here's our client list and this is what we usually do, but then they have to like make it work. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does. Absolutely,
yeah.
it does.
So
yeah,
Brandon,
it's just think.
I can speak to that for you. So a business typical painting contracting business, excuse me, if has reputable branding and systems documented and in place, and profitable P&Ls, it will bring in 2.5 to 3.5, so two to 3.5 times EBITDA. But
Right.
if it's a recurring revenue, like you said, it starts at 5 times.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, it starts at 5x, and I've heard as many as 11. I had a friend who had an exit for 10x EBITDA.
Yeah.
He
We
made
just had a roofing company here sell for 11. Actually they were bought out by Angie, I guess you could say.
really.
Yeah. Yep. So Angie came in, bought them out for, I mean, it was like some crazy number, millions. And yeah, he made out really well.
Okay.
Wow.
There you go. Right on. Right on. So yeah, way to think outside the box. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so keep me accountable. My goal is it's like, it's definitely gonna stretch me, and it's something that I'm kind of like scared of, but I
Mhm.
want to kind of, lean in and do it scared and just give it a shot. So
That's it.
just keep
Comfort zone, magic zone.
yeah, my goal is to have it fully ready to launch by the beginning of next year.
Okay.
So
I like it.
Sweet.
Will do. Right on. Thank you, Brandon. Isaac, you're up.
So, just in the thought of getting ready to bring guys on, yesterday I was wrapping up this bathroom and just small cramped space. And then there was a patch out in the living room that I was doing too. And then just that wall again. So, accent wall. And I was thinking, okay, so if I was out selling and I had 3 guys, obviously there's not enough for 3 guys to do right at once. Crew management. What do you do to, if it's just like a smaller job that 1 or 2 people can do? Yeah, how do you keep that efficient and have the guys have plenty to do if it's a smaller job? Do you split up a small crew and have another guy do a different small job that you keep in your back pocket, or kind of what do you guys do for that?
So this is fresh because yesterday I had a guy call me, and he said, hey, I've got 1 bedroom that I'm looking to get painted. And I said, well, we have a project minimum, and our project minimum is $895. And I said, so if that's within your budget for this room, we can do it. If not, I've got a great company that's local. They're a little bit smaller than us. They'd love to take on your business. I can highly recommend them. One of my previous employees, he was one of my lead painters. And so the approach that I've taken with this is, if it's small jobs, I have a project minimum. If you want to pay my project minimum, we'll do it. Or you can add something else on to make it worth the money to you if you want to do it that way, which some people have done. They'll be like, oh yeah, I'll add on this bedroom, and now it's worth it. And then it's worth it for me to send my guys there. If it comes down to it being like, okay, I got the job, it's not worth it for me to send my whole crew there, then yeah, I'll split. If I have a bigger crew, I've had jobs in the past where I've split, 3 guys up or 4 guys up and did 2 here and 2 there. And maybe I have like a small job that's further down in the schedule. I'll move it up and say, hey, we've got some freed up time in our schedule. We can go ahead and get this done for you today. And then it's worth more of your time, and you're going to make more money that way.
Okay.
Typically with 3 guys, I had this struggle in the past before too, Isaac. I had a team of 3, and they moved very efficiently. And I always had this lingering, fear of, oh gosh, they're going to be done at 1:30 in the afternoon because there's 3 of them there. And so being able to, kind of track how quickly everybody moves really, really helped me, and got it to a point where now, I was talking about how we have 3, again, really incredible guys. I will take that to 4 so that we can have 2 teams of 2. And then on bigger projects, we can put everybody on it. So that way, and my sales are staying way out ahead of what we need to have work going. So with 3 right now, like when we finish this big interior that we're on right now, when the guys get down to just walls, I'm not going to keep all 3 of them there. I'm going to take one of them with me back to the shop. He's going to get some cabinet stuff done. He'll have a great day by himself. So I'm always thinking ahead to have multiple options where I can place them, instead of draining that time right on one project. And then the guys are like, well, we only made 6 hours today and we need to make a full day. That was very difficult for me to wrap my head around and get to a point of management on. Really, it's tough. And every single week you feel like you're still fighting that challenge of, oh gosh, they're not going to have enough work to do, or they're going to finish this too quickly. So having enough sales out ahead of that, so that there's always something that somebody else can leave and do. As well, with 3 guys on site, typically every now and again, somebody gets third wheeled. And not because they're, the camaraderie's not there, but more because, 2 guys are in this room, one's cutting, one's rolling, and the other guy's filling and patching in a different room. And sometimes that's fine. Sometimes we get a bit more of the independent, personality that really likes that. But to get out ahead of that, for me at least, the real solution was plenty of work, so that I can take guy number 1 over here. He can get some things started on prep while the guys are wrapping up on, the other job.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
I want to just throw this out there too. Sometimes I'll if I have a small job come up that I want, it'll be like a little cash cow for me to make a little extra money, and it's super easy. It'll only take me like either like a few hours or like a day. Sometimes I'll send my guys to a bigger job and I'll just go do a little job myself. So something to think of too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the main thing was just that, because I got a good amount of money from it because they had some drywall stuff they wanted done too, but it was just such a tight space. I was like, man, even if I only had 2 guys, being in this small bathroom would just be like, hey, there's just not enough room in here for us both.
Right.
But I think, yeah, just having enough stuff out ahead and be able to split up the crew and all that. Yeah, it's good stuff. Thank you.
And at any point, there's idle time, courtesy canvassing.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, you're up, sir.
Oh, I am really now focused. So now that I finally allowed myself to get to the point of data and really working with sheets and docs and SOPs and really kind of focusing on the numbers, now I'm getting that sorted on the business side. Now I need to be really mindful and have a regular schedule of KPIs. And so there's, your podcast, Tanner's, bookkeeping for painters. I'm devouring all this great information, and there's not enough talk about KPIs. And we obviously have, some great spreadsheets available to us to be able to do this. PCA as well has some amazing resources, which I've finally been diving into and I'm very excited about. So what my question comes down to is, I want to make a comprehensive, not overly complicated KPI, tracking sheet, essentially, so that weekly would be ideal at the end of every week, or at the end of every project after job costing is done. I'm looking at labor. I can go back and I can look at the KPIs for my guys individually, because you're doing great, but I'm anticipating, a little down the road, hey, boss, I'm looking for a raise. And I want to be able to have very good, clear-cut ways to look at those KPIs and go, he's worth $3 more an hour, instead of just going, okay, Johnny, we'll bump you up $1 an hour. I want to be very intentional about what that value is worth. I don't mind paying for great guys and for great quality, but I want to be really intentional about how to track those KPIs.
Okay. So for one, we have the DYB scoreboard for you, right?
Right.
Which I believe is the ultimate KPI tracker for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Second, when it comes to your team, here are 3 KPIs.
Okay.
You want a net promoter for customer experience.
Okay. Net promoter score.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So each
Okay.
one should have a net promoter score tied to every job they're on. So for
Okay.
example, if there were 3 people on it and that customer's experience was a 9, they each get attributed a 9 for that project.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Second is the obvious one, profitability, right?
Mm-hmm.
For each job, track the profitability.
Okay.
And, is it hitting your target range, somewhere between 40 and 50% gross profit? Now,
Mm-hmm.
here's a third one. You want a net promoter
Mm-hmm.
from the team. On a scale of 1 to 10, how's your experience working with Joe?
Yes, absolutely. I'm getting such incredible feedback. I'm so blessed right now for a couple of things. And I've mentioned this a few times, but I don't know if you saw it. Brandon, thank you so much for mentioning nice job a while ago in the thread, because it has been instrumental for us. It's been absolutely incredible. I don't have to deal with the, oh, we're wrapped. Oh, here's the Google thing. Here's the other thing. It's automated. But what's been beautiful is they're mentioning my team. Every single review. Jesse and Anthony were incredible. Jeff was wonderful. He promised us certain things that were going to happen on the job, and his team performed and created those exact promises. And they mentioned the guys. And of course, anytime our guys get mentioned in reviews, they always get a little something, a little bonus, or take them out to lunch or whatever. I mean, just to show them the appreciation and the thanks. But Steve, those are great, because I don't need to be so verbose with things where we can have just simplicity to be able to track. And the DYB scorecard's very good about being comprehensive without being overly, wordy. But I really want something simple that I could just 5-10 minutes every Friday, go through those important things, and then look back at that again a week later. That's
Just the
perfect. Thank you so much.
key performance indicators, right?
Exactly.
Right on. And then you can quantify those. So, all right, Daryl, you had said in the beginning, if we had an extra time, you had an extra one.
I have a couple, but I'll start with a small. It's a CRM question, actually,
Okay.
because I've talked with you about pipeline deals, or pipeline CRM, I think it's called now. I was quite a bit overwhelmed with that, and I know a lot of people are going over to drip jobs. Does drip jobs, does it keep track of your clients as far as your sources? Like this source came from Rotary and referrals, repeat customers. Is there a way to track the source within drip jobs so I can just get rid of pipeline?
Yeah.
Who's got experience?
There is, yeah. So Tanner's doing a really good job of keeping us informed about, hey guys, there's another update coming in a few months, and here's what it's going to include. Like before, he added production rate estimation, which he just launched. I think it's an additional cost to have it, but short answer is I have found, yes, it's not like in Paint Scout, Daryl, where you can literally load up all of your sources over in your settings, and then as you're putting in the new contact, you have a drop-down menu that says source. And so you could put, whatever, Google, Nextdoor, you just drop it down, and then you have a way to click on where those sources were and compile them. I have not found the compilation component in drip jobs yet, but what I've been doing is I've simply just been leaving a note. And I messaged Tanner about this, and I said, is there a way where I can pull from those notes so I can compile what those sources were? I'm waiting for a response on that, but that's the best that I've found so far. He doesn't have that same thing like Paint Scout does, where there's the drop-down menu, you can click on what your sources were yet, as far as I'm aware.
So if you're using, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you're not using Paint Scout anymore, just drip jobs?
Oh, I am. I'm still using Paint Scout, and I'm just the base level, $79 a month. I pay annually. And the reason being is I'm a visual person. The presentation of the estimate from Paint Scout is so exceedingly professional. It just looks so darn good. And Tanner's is good, don't get me wrong. It's just a lot more simplistic. I'm a very detailed guy, and I like to be able to put all the stuff, because people actually read all the details. I get people asking questions that I would think that's buried down inside this estimate, and they're looking over everything. With drip jobs, I'm a very user interface. My OCD goes nuts when things are just a little too simple. So the way that the estimates look on drip jobs, I'm just not as much of a fan of. So I'm using drip purely for tracking the lead, the life of the lead, customer reach out, automation. He's just got all the great stuff baked in there. That to me is worth not having to deal with following up, sending this, letting them schedule the times. That's worth that cost. I'm really trying to get myself to let go of Paint Scout, but they're so good and their customer service is so on point that I don't know if I will ever fully move over my estimation to drip.
Okay. I think, Isaac, I might have interrupted you earlier. I'm sorry.
Well, so I'm just looking on my phone here because I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I don't know. Basically, when you go to load a new estimate, you can actually choose lead source drop down.
Oh, it is in there. Nice
and you
one.
can choose repeat customer, website, Instagram,
There
phone
it
call,
is.
mail, other. I don't know how to add a custom one like Rotary or something.
I'm sure it's there.
I need to look through it to
Yeah,
know
it's in the
exactly
settings, I'm sure.
what page this thing is on, but I did see as I was going through a pie chart showing where all the different leads are coming from. And so I do think that it compiles them and shows you your percentage of like, hey, you're getting 40% of your leads are coming from Facebook. So that is
Awesome.
in there.
Awesome.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Thank you, man. This is awesome. I'm excited.
That was really good
Let's
to
do
know,
this.
Isaac.
No doubt.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, great question. Source is so important. So important. Track those sources. And we can double down on the winners and cut the losers. So, Daryl, do you have one
Yeah.
more?
Yeah. Most of you are familiar with Ron's big house on the hill.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, that thing like blew up or something went viral.
I have one of those.
Mm.
But I haven't got the job yet, but it's for an A client. She's a repeat client. And she's got this it's a cement house with windows that need all kinds of glazing on it. I mean, galore. It's big 2-story house, set up walkboards. We can absolutely do it and it'll be profitable. And we're not so busy that we're turning jobs down. It'd be a really good job to do the last of the year and then finish it up at the beginning of next year. Cause it's like a $45,000 paint job. I don't know if she's going to go for it. My initial thinking was to get a different crew and just have them do it. I don't want to sub it out. There's only one crew that I know of that could even handle this job. But the problem I'm having is I know we all feel we provide a better experience, and I believe that to be true on this one. But this other contractor, they don't treat their guys as well as I think they should. They're 1099. Some of them are getting paid on cash. It's just chatter that I hear when I do interviews, and it's like, do I want to refer this company out or do I want to just do this job and tackle it myself? I'm torn. I can do the job. It's just, I don't know. That's a tough question.
So a few things to consider. This is
Yes.
tough. One, I mean, we always come from how can we or should we? So something else to consider is when we take on the big house on the hill, and here's a caveat. Like somebody's like, well, that's my market. Okay, well then big house on the hill isn't your big house on the hill. Maybe yours is airplane hangars is your big house on the hill. So if we're usually doing single residential repaint and this is the big house on the hill, the one thing you want to consider is while you're on the big house on the hill, how many of your average size jobs could you have painted in the meantime?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's not about the sale. It's about the referral network, right? So if it could be 3 or 4, sometimes up to 8, we could have done 8 of our regular jobs. Those are 8 more referral sources that we could have earned while we were on the big one. And a lot of times those big ones, something goes sideways and then you're married to that thing for another 2, 3, 4 weeks and lose morale. And that's why, like, if it's not in our 3 Ps, if it's not our process where we're used to set up, execute, and close these things out day in and day out without thinking about it, there's a lot of risk there.
Yeah, and so I've actually ran that through my head as well. I mean, because I could sell 6, 8 jobs in that time frame.
Mhm.
I used to do this type of house a lot when I started, so I know the process, but my team does not.
Mhm.
But they could handle it, and I'll make good money. But the thing with our phone, not we're not getting as many leads, and I don't want to use it as a comfort either. You know, getting that $40,000 job, I'm set. I don't want to get complacent and
Yeah.
not push into this next door and Yelp and Google reviews and so. But I love this lady, but I don't, my emotions are not going to be too tied to it. I'm afraid to refer this other company to her because I don't know if
That's it. So
if they're going to provide.
that's an easy answer. Don't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just
You
don't.
just answered
Yeah.
your own question.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All righty. Well, that answers my questions there then. So
Okay. Right on.
And if it
Any-
helps you at all to say no, you could just say, "Hey, we love working with you. This this big job is just a little outside of our scope of work, but we so appreciate the recommend or you asking." Because I run into that a lot, where a lot of these older homes in my town that I know I could tackle, but at the same time, it's like, do I want to spend 3, 4 weeks on this thing and potentially have something go wrong? And then they always say, "Thanks so much for your honesty." And so
Yes.
it's like, when you can tell them, "Hey, I really, really want to do this for you. I just don't think that we're company to do that because that's a little bit outside of our scope." They're not going to be mad at you. But if you want to do it, that's another thing. But if you think that it might be a little bit outside of your 3Ps, it might not be worth it.
yeah, this is one that is sort of outside. It's outside of one of my P's, and that's the process because it's my people, and it will be
Yeah.
profitable, but it's not in my process that we normally do. So it's with 2 out of 3. So it's
Mhm.
not a sin to do it.
Oh,
I
But
just
yeah,
don't know.
but
wait
that's
till you
only
get into it.
66%. That's only
Yeah.
66%
Yeah.
Yeah.
reassurance.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I appreciate that. That's still a lot to think about. And so I want to make sure that this lady gets somebody qualified to do this project for her. So thank you guys.
Okay. All
Since
right,
your
man.
guys aren't used to that kind of project, would that mean that you'd need to be on site quite a bit during that one?
No, that's a good question. I've actually talked to them. They're okay with it. We've kind of started to get away from 2-story houses, period. And I've got 2 on my list right now, but they're not within our process either, but they're not as complicated as this one. But I charged my hourly rate plus some. And so I'm comfortable with them. My guys are comfortable. But this one here is just it's a massive house. It's going to be a $45,000 job. So I just don't know if I want to do that.
Go get 220s.
Yeah. And I have 220s right before that. So
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
thank you guys.
All right, right on, gentlemen. Let's roll out with takeaways. Daryl, go ahead and lead, please.
Yeah, man, I got a page of notes. I told this to Stephen our one-on-one this week. You know, I get more out of just the conversation we have with everybody else's big wins and their top of minds. I get more out of your guys' stuff than I do out of my own stuff. So it's just really cool.
That's awesome. Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate that. Brandon.
Gonna be looking at rolling out this subscription service, and just things that I took away from this was think of it more as staying top of mind with the customers rather than being like a big huge profitable thing. And then doing the FOMO, offering 12 spots just to get started. So
There you go. Right on. Leveraging scarcity.
Right.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brandon. Isaac.
Yeah. So the nice job thing I'm going to look into. And I think that just kind of brings to mind what are some other things that I can do that would just create automation. The follow up with drip jobs has been amazing. I'm getting so many emails of people saying, "Hey, yeah, we're looking into this estimate," or, "Hey, actually, I don't think we're going to move forward right now, but maybe in the spring." All these responses to emails that I didn't even send. And it's like, oh, sweet. I didn't even need to do that. But I think that coming up with more systems like that are just taking care of themselves, like nice job, I think is going to help me a lot. So.
Right on. I have one last idea for you, Isaac. Make sure, if you haven't already, set up my pre-selling emails in there to go out before you arrive to the estimate.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you need those, just email me. I'll shoot them over to you. I think I just posted them into the community a few days ago as well. Alrighty.
I think I'm gonna have I'm gonna shoot a video that's like that pops up right after they request an estimate. It's like, hey, thanks so much. Here's who we are, and la la la. And which Drip Jobs has that capability, so that's gonna be cool too. But
Right on. I was
Yeah.
waiting for you to say pop a video and goes boo right after they book an estimate.
Hey,
but
thanks so much.
That's great. And Jeff, close us out with your takeaways, sir.
Feeling really, really proud, I think, is my biggest takeaway at the moment. I'm finally at a point in my business where it's not about strengthening the things that we're already doing well. It's now focusing on the weak links and bringing those up to the point where we have successful systems. I'm the KPIs takeaway, obviously very instrumental for me, but just in reflection at this moment, feeling very blessed to have this community, to be a part of you guys and sharing in this, and really the vote of confidence that comes from, just throwing out our ideas and kind of helping each other realize what are those weakest links. And I feel like I'm down to the last of those links, and now it's just about really strengthening those. It's a very exciting thing, and I'm walking with a lot of happiness and a lot of pride at the moment.
Right on. That is
Sweet.
fantastic. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jeff. Jeff, Isaac, Brandon, Daryl, appreciate you guys. Thank you for showing up for this special podcast episode of MG11. I want to continue to encourage you guys, as well as all our viewers and listeners, to continue to dream big, hustle smarter. You've got this.
Yes. See you guys.
See you guys.
Have a great day.
So do we actually leave at the
Well,
end?
we
of
weren't
this one?
supposed to. We were going to take a picture. Yeah. But he bounced already. So
Did he jump back on? Is
hold
it
on a second.
applicable for him to jump back in?
Yeah, let me pause the recording too.